Hello, everyone. Welcome back to St. Louis Teens, and welcome back to our series on Champions for Teens, which features lawmakers and leaders working with teens in their community. Today, we are here with Missouri State Senator Lauren Arthur for District 17. Senator Arthur, you bring valuable experience from the education sector to our state legislature. We appreciate your efforts in helping us navigate these difficult times, working with issues related to homelessness, education, and taxes. Thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. It's really my pleasure to join you. I think when I was your age, I was not doing anything near as productive as you're doing here today. So I appreciate connecting with you.
Thank you so much for being on. And Senator Arthur, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what inspired you to go into public service, and how has your journey been like so far?
Sure. So I'm very lucky that I get to represent the district where I grew up. So when I campaigned and knocked on doors, I met a lot of people who I went to school with. I met a lot of friends, or reconnected with a lot of friends who, I played sports with growing up. And it's been a real honor to serve the community that I care about and that I want to see do well. When I graduated from college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to make the world a better place. And so I thought that meant maybe going across the globe and joining the Peace Corps, or something like that. I met with someone who said, "You realize there's a lot of need in your hometown and your community, right?" And so that resonated with me, and I decided to go back home to Kansas City. I taught sixth and eighth graders in an underserved community. I loved my students. They're amazing. They were funny. They were smart. Some days they were challenging, but I loved spending time with them. I saw a lot of them had I saw that a lot of them faced adversity that most adults couldn't deal with. And so, many of them didn't have access to reliable transportation or have access to healthcare. Many came to school hungry and didn't have enough to eat at home. Several of our students had experienced gun violence personally and lost friends and family members to gun violence. So the idea that we have children in our community who didn't have every resource available that they needed made me want to run for office and improve their lives and create opportunities for all kids in Missouri.
And as a state senator, can you share with us? I know it can be difficult, but the most favorite part of your job?
There's a lot to love about my job. I'd say my favorite thing is meeting with different people from across the state, learning more about them and their lives, and always learning about different issues. So if I could be a student my entire life, I would be. And I get to learn about different topics every day and connect with people that I otherwise wouldn't know.
And Senator Arthur, you're actively involved with children's and youth causes through your bills and being on the task force on dyslexia. I know you talked about working with children and students in your past and talking about the adversity that they had faced. What inspired you, or is that what inspired you to work with children and teens in your community? And what is one of the most memorable moments of your interaction with teens?
Yeah, I think that's really what motivated me, my relationships with my students and wanting the very best for them, while also seeing that lawmakers in Jefferson City made decisions that affected their lives and really failed them in a lot of ways. So I wanted to work on behalf of my students and on behalf of all students in Missouri. Um, I've been really impressed by the students who come down to Jefferson City to advocate for different issues. They are always the most prepared and persuasive, and you can tell that they have a real passion. And I just assume that someday they're going to be my boss. And so I am really impressed by the students who come down and already feel engaged and involved in their state government. That's really impressive.
And you talked about Jefferson City previously not doing an adequate job in terms of serving the youth and students. And I think a big way to sort of fix that is to have policymakers and leaders be more involved with teens in their community. How do you think that policymakers, leaders, and members of Congress can be more interactive with teens in their community and develop rich and meaningful partnerships with them?
They're really great questions. Um, so I would encourage young people to get involved, and no person is too young to work on a campaign. And so if you meet a legislator or a candidate who inspires you, reach out and volunteer. During my special election, we had little kids going out and knocking doors and putting up signs. And that was really inspiring to me. And I think that you know, you learn both about the political process, but then you also get the opportunity to build relationships with people who make those decisions. And when I'm voting on an issue, I think back to the not only the people who worked on my campaign, but the people I represent, and the people that I've gotten to know over the last several years. And it becomes real. These decisions and these issues become real. And so don't feel intimidated. I am sure that they'd be happy to have your help, or even if you feel passionately about an issue, you should reach out.
Senator Arthur, you're also instrumental in several bills for the betterment of our community. And one of your recent legislation was the Text to Donate pilot program to reduce the homelessness population in St. Louis and Kansas City. What inspired you to take this initiative?
I worked with my colleague on that issue. We know that homelessness is a major problem facing people in both Kansas City and St. Louis and across the state and country. And with the pandemic, I worry that that problem is going to get worse. So I wanted to do something. There are a lot of great organizations already helping the homeless population in Kansas City. And I feel like whenever we see someone who's on the streets, our inclination is automatically to give a couple of dollars to that individual. But this is really a systemic problem. And so if we could pool that funding and give to the organizations that are doing the work to really eradicate homelessness at the root cause, I feel like that's a really valuable tool for our cities and for our communities.
And sort of switching back, in your opinion, what is the outlook for the future, particularly for teens, and how can we be more involved and better prepared?
The future is so bright, I need my stunna shades. So I am so impressed and optimistic about and hopeful for um, the younger generations, especially Generation Z. I mean, you all have already stepped up. You are leaders, and doing things that were unimaginable to me as a high schooler. And so I draw a lot of inspiration from the younger generations. I feel like they've set examples and acted as leaders, and I'm happy to follow in that case, and feel really hopeful that the energy and the momentum and the enthusiasm they have for these issues will translate to electoral politics. And I know it's easy to already feel discouraged and cynical about what we've seen from our elected officials, but I really believe that change happens through governance and at every level, at our federal level, at our state level, at our local level. And so I hope that young people who can vote show up in full force, and that they stay engaged in politics for years to come.
Senator Arthur, thank you so much for investing your time and resources in our community, our teens, and the value that they bring to our country and our future. And thank you so much for your time today and answering all of our questions.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.